Coming up on 4 Verts, we're going to take a look at the best to worst head coach openings in the NFL, at least for now. There are 3 openings, the Bears, the Jets, and the Saints. I'm going to rank them from worst to best and give you the reasons why. Plus, I want to give my 2 cents on this Azeez Al-Shaair suspension situation. Obviously, there are a lot of takes on that whole thing as the Texans linebacker has been suspended for 3 games. So thoughts on that as well. Before we dive on in, hit that subscribe button here on 4 Verts. Turn on notifications. We're plugging out videos every single day. We're reacting to mostly every primetime game, full NFL Sunday reaction, college football reaction. Playoff rankings come out tonight. Big week ahead before the final rankings drop on Sunday. We'll be here for all of it. So subscribe to 4 Verts. Do not miss an episode ever as we are bringing you daily videos. Okay, 3-1 worst to best NFL head coach openings right now. I got the Jets at number 3. I don't think this job's very desirable. Now, there is some intriguing young talent. Breece Hall on the offensive side of the ball. They have a couple intriguing offensive linemen, Olufashanu being one of them, a couple other guys, but there's still some work that needs to be done. I like Braylon Allen, the other running back as well. But you need work at receiver. Most importantly, quarterback. Is Aaron Rodgers going to play another year? Do you want him to play another year? If he doesn't, what's your other options? And more importantly than any of that, Woody Johnson is a nut. He's just kind of one of these chaotic, crazy owners who has gone rogue in the last 6 to 8 months, completely hijacking GM responsibilities from Joe Douglas. And look, I get it. If you're going to fire the guy, fine, which he did. But this goes back to the offseason before you had fired him. Some reporting done by The Athletic. They're not in a great cap situation. Now, they might be in position to draft a quarterback or a premium player, depending on what route they want to go and how they finish the season. But this quarterback situation, not knowing who the GM's going to be, the roster having some good young talent, but probably not as good as we thought, I don't think this is that good of a job right now. If Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback next year, there's basically no path to success in year 1. Now, I don't think having success in year 1 is something that would deter certain candidates. These jobs are open for a reason. It's going to take time. But the premium candidates, the Ben Johnson, like is Ben Johnson taking that job? He's on record saying he wants a situation that already is pretty stable. That this is not that. This is not that. Now, he might be a little greedy in what he's looking for. Any open job is open for a reason unless the guy just retired. Because there's a little bit of issue, and there's a lot of issue here. And I don't know what the quick fix is in New York. They haven't made the playoffs in a decade and a half. The ownership isn't good. You don't know who the GM's going to be. So I think out of these 3 openings right now, it's fair to say that the Jets is the worst one. Now, you could say that Jets in certain areas have more intriguing talent than the Saints, but I think it's in a similar ballpark. And at least the Saints have pretty decent ownership with Gale Benson. Mickey Loomis, while I don't love the way he's handled the cap in recent years by just kicking the can down the road, they're not in a good cap situation. But, A, they're always playing to win, which I think the Jets have been in recent years as well. They went in on Aaron Rodgers. But, B, they've had recent success with Sean Payton. The defense, at least under Dennis Allen, has been solid. I think if you're the Saints, I think you need to sell the next head coach on, hey, the first year, we're going to bottom out here. We're going to get out from under this cap situation. They're projected for like negative $60 million in cap. Cut whatever players you need to. Eat the money this year, Derek Carr included, and then be looking for 2026 and beyond for the time to try and become a contender. So you're likely going to have to convince a coach like, hey, chances are in year 1, we're not going to be able to compete. Now, the NFC South isn't that great, so maybe you could still kind of halfway compete in year 1, even if it's not for a Super Bowl. Maybe you hang around in the division. Hell, this year, had they won last week against the Rams, they'd only be 1 game back. But, I think they're stuck with Carr for another year the way his contract is. They got to figure out some other contracts, cut some players, maybe trade off a couple of pieces just to get in a good cap situation because they've just kicked the can down the road. And it's okay to do that if you're the Chiefs or you're the Eagles or you're the Bills and you're one of these teams that's contending at the top end of the NFL every year. And you're like, we'll worry about later. The Saints aren't close to contending. So, The only reason I'm really giving them the nod over the Jets is because they're better run from an ownership standpoint. You've at least seen a coach recently be able to contend with them in a lot of years with Sean Payton. So that's proof that it can happen. But this isn't an ideal situation. It's definitely not a quick fix. There's no question about it. And then you've got the Chicago Bears, who I want to dive into more detail in just a little bit, the Bears, because they have some chaos going on. But I think there are real reasons that this job, at least compared to the other two, is significantly more attractive. But first, I do want to get in a word from our sponsor, Turtle Beach. Today's show is sponsored by Turtle Beach, the best gaming headsets and accessories out there, and you can get 10% off at turtlebeach.com/chat. Use code chat to get 10% off. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and under the tree, a gift was waiting, one that would change every game from then on. Remember what life was like to unwrap your very first headset? I remember I had some clunkers back in the day. That joy, that thrill of plugging it in and stepping into a whole new world. Get that same experience all over again with the Turtle Beach Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset. This is more than just a gift. It's the ultimate throwback to those holiday mornings spent gaming from dawn to dusk. I know I'm going to be doing that with Fortnite coming back, but this time it's better. No more tiny mics, no more muffled sound, just crystal clear audio, immersive surround sound, and an insane 80-hour battery life that keeps the fun going long after the Christmas lights come down. Whether it's for gamers or other situations, holiday gaming marathons, Turtle Beach has you covered for the cheat code, because it's like you're cheating when you play video games with how good the sound is in these headsets. Check them out today. 10% off at turtlebeach.com/chat. Use code chat to get 10% off. That's turtlebeach.com/chat, code chat to get 10% off. Get started today and get that feeling on Christmas morning like you did when you were younger. One more time, link is in the comments in the description of this video. turtlebeach.com/chat, code chat. All right, I think the Bears is the top job open right now. Harrison, you're the Bears guy. You're biased. Okay, fair enough. But based on the openings right now, and I get it, the Bears ownership has a reputation of being cheap and not very organized. Kevin Warren is a wild card. We don't really know what his role is in the football decision-making. Ryan Poles the other day at the press conference kind of looked like a sick puppy. Like that was not his normal, charismatic, confident self. I understand all of that. But what the Bears have that the other two don't, number one, is a very promising young quarterback in Caleb Williams, who's been a little up and down this year, but you've seen the potential he has. Like, this isn't Mitch Trubisky. This isn't even Justin Fields. This is a guy that, if you bring in the right coach, can be a top 10 quarterback in this league. I think that's very much on the table. They've got a ton of cap space. I think like 75, 80 million bucks projected cap, and potentially more if they cut/restructure some players. And they have draft picks. The Panthers pick that they own in the second round is going to be top 40, more than likely. Their own pick at this rate, we'll see how they finish with Thomas Brown, probably at worst is going to be top half of the first round, which means top half of every round. And you go on from there. So you're going to have 3 top 50 picks at worst, probably top 40, 80, 75 million bucks in cap space. And you already have some young talent led by Caleb Williams. DJ Moore's under contract for the foreseeable future. Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, some young players like Kyler Gordon on this roster, Darnell Wright. It's not perfect. There's still holes to fill. The trenches need some work, but the cupboard isn't dry. And let's face it, you could be the biggest Bears hater out there. They've lost some gut-wrenching games. Otherwise, they could easily be 7-5, 8-4 this year. Like, they're not crazy far away. Now, the NFC North is brutal, right? It's a very difficult division, and it's going to be moving forward, especially with Detroit and Green Bay. We'll see what Minnesota's QB situation is moving forward, but the Lions and Packers feel like they're built to stay. Now, if you poach Ben Johnson, maybe that hurts the Lions. Who knows? But I still think if you're just looking at, hey, what do I have to work with in Chicago? Caleb Williams, intriguing young pieces, cap space and draft capital, or the Saints, who have no future at quarterback, no cap space, and yeah, they'll have some decent draft picks, but you're going to have to eat it for at least a year, or the Jets. I'll take the Bears out of those 3, although there admittedly are some major flaws within the organizational structure. So, listen, Even Colin Cowherd the other day said this is going to be the best open job. He might have said that earlier today, actually. So, look, we'll see. No open job is going to be perfect. Like, the Steelers' job doesn't open up. Why? Because they win all the time. So, we'll see what else opens up. But even if, like, Dallas opens up, you got to deal with Jerry. The Jags, is that a great situation? At worst, the Bears are going to be in the discussion for the best open job, but more than likely on paper, it's probably going to be the best. And so if the Bears are willing to pay up for a coach, something they haven't been willing to do in the past, maybe they get this right. Saints and Jets, we'll see. The Jets may have to settle for someone like Rex Ryan, who is begging for the job, because I just don't think that job is very attractive whatsoever at this point in time. Okay, let's talk about Azeez Al-Shaair, the Texans linebacker who was suspended for 3 games after his, I think it's fair to call it dirty hit on Trevor Lawrence, although I'm not saying it's the easiest thing ever, especially playing defense in today's NFL, but I think he could have at least avoided some of that major contact. I think that's fair to say. So he gets 3 games. And there's freakouts on both sides. Some side, that's not enough. He's headhunting. The other side, this is a disgrace. Football is soft. What's he supposed to do? I'm somewhere in the middle. Here's the problem, though. He's a repeat offender. He punched Roschon Johnson earlier in the season on the sideline. He's been a guy who toes that line of hitting a guy late, especially quarterbacks. Like, this is not a first-time offender. If this was Harrison Graham hits a QB late, probably getting fined $25,000 and no one's talking about it the next day. Azeez Al-Shaair doesn't, dirty player making another dirty play. He needs to be suspended. So I get it. I thought it would be 1 or 2 games. He is appealing. Maybe it comes down to 2. I would imagine the NFLPA pushes back pretty hard here. But this is a tough spot for the NFL because you want to protect your quarterbacks, and rightfully so. That's what makes the product entertaining. You want the best quarterbacks out there. But there is also this stigma the league has right now that it feels like you can't touch the quarterback without it being a penalty. I will say, for those saying Trevor Lawrence slid late, did he? I don't think he slid late. He slid. Al-Shaair took a couple steps and kind of bent down and hit him in the head area. Like, I think he could have either jumped to the side or even jumped over Lawrence. You see players do that sometimes, like dive over the sliding guy. Or he could have at least hit him less hard, and maybe it just results in the unnecessary roughness. Again, I think these defenders are in a tough spot. I understand that, because you're taught to play this game 100 miles an hour. If you hesitate at all, guy can juke you out of your shoes and get 20 more yards. Like, you can't do that. So I'm not saying it's easy, but I understand why the NFL did it. The quarterbacks make this game go. And, there's a real issue with some quarterback play in this league right now. I think the best of the best are as good as ever. You get to the bottom third quarterback play in this league, I get it. Trevor Lawrence has struggled, and Mac Jones actually played okay this time around, but most backup quarterbacks are pretty terrible. And Mac Jones, before that Texans game when he had played this year, had been really bad. They don't want that product. And they also don't want the visual of a quarterback being knocked out on the field. We had this conversation with the Tua thing. Like, the NFL does not want that. They don't want to be advertising that this game is too dangerous. Like, they're a money-making machine that wants to last forever. So if they can protect their quarterbacks, they're going to do it. So we'll see where the discussion goes from here. I thought 3 was a little strong. I thought 1 or 2. I thought maybe he'd get 2 and then he'd appeal down to 1. But, we'll see. We'll see where the appeal goes from here. D'Amico defended him, obviously. Nick Caserio, the Texans GM, kind of went nuclear in defense of Al-Shaair. And listen, I would expect those guys to have his back. That's the coach and GM of the Texans. But you knocked out a $200 million quarterback on a hit that was borderline at best and at worst was a dirty play. He's going to get suspended. It's just that's how this goes. So not surprised. That's kind of my 2 cents. Again, it's not an easy situation for Al-Shaair, but it doesn't help that he's been involved in other incidents before, and he's kind of got a reputation at this point. I'm not saying he's in Ndamukong Suh territory, but, this is a guy that officials probably are made aware of before games. Like, hey, we got to watch Al-Shaair. He toes that line. So, we'll see. We'll see what the end result of this is, if he wins his appeal or not. All right, that's going to do it for us here on a Tuesday afternoon. My name is Harrison Graham. Don't forget to subscribe to Four Verts. We're getting closer and closer to 5,000 subscribers. NFL, college football content every single day. Do not miss out, and we will see you guys soon.